Very good morning to everyone. And let me begin today by asking you something. Think of the person in your life. Now, that person might be your spouse, a sibling, a colleague, a friend who you feel genuinely heard by. Not just listened to, heard, understood. Someone who, after a conversation with them, you feel lighter, a little clearer, maybe even a little more yourself. Now, think about how rare that person is. See, most of us can count them on one hand. And some of us, if we are being honest, are struggling to name even one. Why is that? In a world more connected than ever, why do so many of us feel profoundly not understood? Now, that question, friends, it's exactly where today's session begins. Communication improves through practice, not theory. So that is the opening thought of the day, that communication improves through practice, not theory. See, today we are not just talking about communication, we are going to practice it. Because here is the thing most people get wrong. They think communication is something they already know how to do. After all, we have been talking since we were 2 years old, and we have had thousands of conversations. Surely by now, we're experts, right? And yet, misunderstandings, arguments that go in circles, relationships that feel distant, children who don't share things with parents, and spouses who feel like strangers, and colleagues who never seem to get it. The truth is, most of us have been communicating on autopilot for decades. And autopilot, by definition, is not intentional. It is not skilled. It's just habit. So this week, we are going to interrupt that autopilot just for one conversation, and let's see what happens. So just imagine you want to learn to play the harmonium. So I believe everyone that knows what a harmonium is. Beautiful instrument. And someone hands you a thick book, The Complete Theory of Indian Classical Music. 300 pages, you read all of it. And now sit down at the harmonium, play something. Nothing comes out right, does it? Because the harmonium does not care what you know. It responds only to practice, to the muscle memory in your fingers, to the hundreds of small corrections you make over time when a note sounds wrong. So communication is exactly the same instrument. You can attend every seminar, read every self help book, nod along to every podcast episode, and still go home and snap at your partner, dismiss your teenager, or say exactly the wrong thing to a grieving friend. Knowing is not doing. Practice is the only teacher that actually works. So, this week, we are tuning four strings of communication instrument. Think of them as four promises you make to yourself in every conversation. String one, listening. Not the kind where you're already planning your reply, where the other person is mid sentence. Real listening. Listening where you're so present that the other person can actually feel it, where you give your full attention, not your half attention with one eye on your phone. Research consistently shows that most people listen to respond, not to understand. So this week, we flip that. Number two, that is string number two. clarity. Say what you actually mean, not what you hope the other person will somehow read between the lines. Not hints, not roundabout references that made perfect sense in your head. See, clarity is kindness. It saves everyone time, confusion, and hurt feelings. When you're clear, you are also respecting the other person enough to be honest with them. Then, string number three, empathy. Before you respond, ask yourself, what is this person actually feeling right now? Not just what they're saying, but what emotion is driving those words. See, empathy does not mean agreeing, it means acknowledging. I hear that this was hard for you. Can unlock a conversation that an hour of arguing never could. String number four, calm responses. See, the most important thing you can do in a difficult conversation is not say the right thing. It is not react to the wrong thing. Pause before you speak. One breath, just one. And you'll be surprised how much it changes the quality of what comes out next. Practice these four, even imperfectly, and something will shift. Not overnight, but steadily. The way a musician's fingers find the right notes more easily with each passing week. So let me share three stories today. One is about Sudha, the homemaker. Now, she has been married for 32 years. She loves her family deeply. But for just as long, she has been having the same argument with her husband about the same three things. It always ends the same way, loudly, unsatisfactorily, with both of them going quiet for a day or two before pretending nothing happened. I'm sure some of you would have gone through this phase. And this week, Sudha tried something different. Instead of listing her grievances the moment her husband came home tense, she waited. She made chai. She sat beside him. She asked and really meant it, how was the day? He talked for 20 minutes. She did not interrupt once. She did not bring up her list. And at the end, her husband looked at her and said, you know what? I feel much better. What were you wanting to say? She almost fell off her chair. She had been waiting 32 years for him to ask. And turns out all she had to do was listen first. Then there is Priyanka, the working woman. Now she's a senior HR professional. She gives communication training to others for a living, which is why it was particularly humbling when her team gave anonymous feedback that she was hard to approach and always seemed like she already knew what she was going to say. Priyanka was stung, and then she was honest with herself. In the next team meeting, she tried something she had never done professionally. She asked a question and then stayed completely silent until the other person was fully done. No, yes, but no quick nod that signals I've heard enough. Here comes my point. Just quiet presence, waiting. Three people spoke up who had never spoken in meetings before. And Priyanka told me later, I thought I was a great communicator. I was actually a great talker. And there's a difference. And then Vikramji. He's a retired school principal, 63 years old, a man who, by his own admission, spent 40 years being very good at giving instructions and very bad at having conversations. His daughter came to visit last month. She's in her 30s and lives in another city. Now, they had a pleasant, slightly surface level relationship. The kind where you say everything is fine when it isn't, and both of you know it. So this time, Vikram did something he had never done. He put his phone in the other room. He sat with her, and when she started talking about her life, her exhaustion, her worries, her small joys, he did not offer solutions. He did not compare her struggles to his own younger days. He did not give her a lecture. He just said, "Tell me more." And that evening, his daughter cried a little, laughed a little, and before she fell, she hugged him at the door and said, "Papa, this was the best visit we have had in years." Vikram called me and said, "Two words, tell me more." That's all it took. Sometimes the most powerful communication is the kind that makes space for someone else's words. So let's come to your reflection for the day, your exercise, your practice for this week. Of course, not a list of 10 things. I always give one. So today, choose one conversation. Might be with your spouse, with your friend, your child, a colleague, and go into it with complete intention. And here is what that looks like. One, listen fully. No phone, no parallel thinking, no preparing your reply. Two, ask thoughtful questions. Go deeper than how was your day? Third, do not interrupt. Even when you really want to. First, listen to the person fully. Just see when the person is done. And fourth, reflect back what you heard. So, what you're saying, and check if you got it right. It's part of the communication. When you begin with something the person has already said, that makes the person feel that you were listening active. And afterwards, take 5 minutes and journal two things. Two, what did I do well in that conversation? And second, what is one thing I can do better next time? That's it. One conversation, two reflections. Do this every day this week. And I promise you, by Sunday, or in fact, by next week, you'll feel the difference, not just in your relationships, but in yourself. See, we spend years learning how to read, write, drive, cook, work. We go to school for it. We take courses, we practice. But communication, the one skill we use every single day with every single person who matters to us, we somehow expect to just happen naturally. It doesn't. The most connected, most understood, most respected people around us are not naturally gifted communicators. They're intentionally practicing ones. And here's what I found beautiful, that it's never too late to start. You do not need a classroom. You do not need a certificate. You just need one honest conversation, a little courage, and the willingness to listen before you speak. See, the quality of your relationships is the quality of your communication. And the quality of your communication is a choice you make in every single conversation. So this week, make that choice intentionally, lovingly, one conversation at a time. Don't think that the other person doesn't listen, so why should I? You have to stop. You have to give that space. And I look forward to hearing how it goes. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Thank you.